Hi, everyone. This is Ali Hussein Kasim from Ali Talks Tech. We are back after the holidays. We took a break about a month or so. We're coming back with a bang. We have some super interesting stories that are developing across Africa. I'm going to cover about 5 stories this week. The first one is the Southern African crypto exchanges that are challenging a pension fund ban to invest in cryptos. This is interesting coming on the back of Kenya's public participation announcement by the Treasury Department on a crypto or digital assets policy strategy for Kenya. Then we'll cover Starlink, which seems to be facing higher license fees in Kenya. We'll delve a little bit deeper into that shortly. Then we'll talk about Kenya leading tech ecosystem funding with a $638 million raised in 2024 ahead of Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt. Then we'll delve deep into an interesting discussion around Pesalink and the Central Bank of Kenya's announcement early late last year of a new fast payment system. Last but not least, we'll talk about the AI gold rush. So let's go into the Southern Africa Crypto Exchange Challenge to regulators. Exchanges in Southern Africa are pushing back against the prohibition of pension funds being allowed to invest in digital assets. And their main target is South Africa's Regulation 28, which specifically bars pension funds from crypto investments, or rather, the list of what pension funds can invest. That list does not include crypto investments. Exchanges are arguing this limits growth and innovation. Now, let's step back a bit and look at sometimes the confusion that happens between different arms of government. It's almost like the Tower of Babel. On one hand, you have a regulator that has licensed more than 61 crypto startups or organizations in South Africa. And yet they're not opening up the conversation for proper investments. And I think there are ways to be able to say we are going to make sure that we mitigate the potential risks for crypto investments, especially because we are talking about pension funds. Now, guys, let's be clear. Globally, in Europe, in the US, in Asia, pension funds are some of the biggest investors into private equity funds, into venture capital funds, and so on and so forth. So it's time that we just opened the gates for crypto exchanges to tap into these huge amounts of money, but make sure that people's funds are safe. It's a catch-22. It's a delicate balance, but this is something that we need to do, and we need to do in Africa yesterday. If we look at some of the countries that have done this, look at some of the global approaches to crypto when it comes to investments, especially when it comes to pension funds. The US exploring this area. The Wyoming state is allowing public funds to invest. Other states in the US are sort of looking at it. Now, let me also stop here 1 minute and speak about how interesting the US financial services regulatory and policy ecosystem is concerned. Contrary to what you may think, when it comes to financial services regulation, the US is not one country. It's, I'm not sure, is it 54 states? The US has 54 states, or is it 55 states? every state has its own regulator. Yeah. So if fintech X, for example, wants a remittance license or a crypto license in the US, they will have to get one in New York, they have to get one in New Jersey, they have to get one in Washington, D.C., they have to get one in Cincinnati, they have to get one in California, and so on and so forth. So it's not that easy. Canada, major funds like the Ontario Teachers Fund, pension fund, have invested in crypto. Germany regulators are permitting crypto as part of a diversified portfolio, and Japan government pension fund researching potential investments. So we already have interesting case studies to look at across the world. Not to forget the EU, which is developing comprehensive regulations via the MICA framework. So as this landscape evolves, South Africa regulators are facing pressure to reconsider their stance. Interesting debate. We will keep it alive here. We'll keep on following it and update you as the story evolves. I'll come back to my home country, Kenya, where Starlink, remember Starlink, Elon Musk, and how Starlink is or is supposed to be disrupting internet service providers. So, in a significant development, Kenya's Communications Authority is eyeing a 4 million yearly satellite rights fee, which is equivalent to 0.4% of turnover for Starlink operations. This is interesting. And it's interesting because it comes in the wake of a lot of conversations and a lot of issues around how the emergence of Starlink, not just in Kenya, but across Africa, is sending shivers down the backs of telecom CEOs. Now, all I can say is this: 4 million shillings. I'm saying this tongue in cheek. 4 million shillings is not even a rounding error in Elon Musk's kitchen budget. So let's try another one. Guys, look, I mean, just one morning waking up and 10xing your licenses for new players in satellite. What are you telling us? What is going on? The Communications Authority needs to be open about this conversation. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, let's be reasonable about this. If it's 2x, if it's 3x, you can probably understand. 10x, yeah? Here are the market dynamics, guys. We are witnessing a humongous shift in how telcos and internet service providers are treating us. Let me give you my personal example, not to mention the service provider, but my home internet. I am on a diamond plan, which cost me 12,000 shillings, that used to give me 100 Mbps. Since the advent of Starlink, that 100 Mbps for the same amount of money has gone up to 500. Let me do a quick test for you guys right now. I'm sitting at 600 Mbps right now. All I can say is thank you, Elon Musk. Moving on to my next story on Kenya's leading tech ecosystem. Now, in 2024, which is just last year, a month ago, Africa Big Deal, which is probably the most authoritative data on the tech ecosystem on fundraising across Africa, reported that Kenya has raised $638 million in 2024, way ahead of Nigeria's 410, Nigeria's 410 and Egypt's 400, and South Africa's 384 something. Now, let's not talk about how Kenya is continuously punching way above its weight if you consider Kenya's economy and these other big fintech markets or tech markets in Africa. The four big ones that are worth mentioning here today are Kenya, of course, Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Now, South Africa and Egypt, according to the latest statistics, the largest economies in Africa today are Egypt, Nigeria, South Africa. Kenya is not even, it's probably towards the tail end of top 10. And yet Kenya has raised 33, almost 33% of total money invested in tech startups across Africa. 33%. We have 54 countries in Africa. Kenya has raised 33% of all that money raised. So kudos to everyone that has raised money. Proud to be a Kenyan at this point in time. And these numbers, though, tell an interesting story. First, overall, African funding dropped 25% year on year to 2.2 billion. Kenya, obviously, as I've said, has outperformed larger economies like Nigeria and Egypt. But I think I've talked about this on my LinkedIn post that has gone viral. The real questions that we need to start asking: how many jobs have these funded startups created? What percentage of the economy are they representing? What's the actual income impact on Kenya's GDP? Are we building sustainable businesses or just burning cash? Is it time for a mindset shift? Is it time for us to, yes, continue to celebrate funds raised, but can we start having conversations about milestones in the ecosystem? How some of these companies are doing, right? Can we move from valuation to value creation? From user growth to unit economics, for example? From funding rounds to financial sustainability? I was talking, for confidentiality, I will not mention the name of this fintech. I was talking to a fintech CFO a couple of days ago, and they're building a neobank for Africa. They're currently in about 3 to 4 markets. And the guy told me, look, we're cash flow positive. Even if we are raising money, we are raising money for expansion. We know we have a P2P focus. And I don't mean I don't mean peer to peer. I mean path to profitability. It's super crucial that African tech companies start really to focus on the meat, on the issues that will grow these companies from startups to incumbents to global giants. So as we cement our position as Africa's tech hub, let's focus on 1, building profitable businesses, 2, developing local talent, 3, creating solutions for real African problems, 4, measuring actual social impact and economic impact. So, guys, my prayer is that the next chapter of Kenya's tech story, not just Kenya, Africa's tech story, should be about more than raising money. It should be about creating lasting value. Now we move to my next story, which is the Central Bank of Kenya's CBK's recent announcement for a new fast payment system. A couple of days ago, the Kenya Bankers Association's chairman had a rejoinder for this. And it makes for interesting conversations. First is the CBK's FPS proposition going to shake up things in the fintech ecosystem in Africa. Kenyan bankers are starting to push back and advocating for an upgrade to the existing Link instead. So, as somebody who's deeply immersed in the fintech ecosystem, not just in Kenya but across Africa, obviously I find this debate fascinating. But here's what matters. 1, let's look at Link. while it is groundbreaking, it has its limitations. And it has had this for many years. We've had this conversation with many of my friends who are bankers, many of my friends who have worked in and out of Pesalink. It can't integrate seamlessly with fintechs or mobile money providers. This is a big hurdle in Kenya's mobile-first economy. Here's a $1 trillion question for you. Why is this so? Why is this still the case 15 plus years later? What is stopping Pesalink from being the monster that it should be today? 2. CBK's proposed faster payment system aims to create a truly interoperable system. It aims to create all financial institutions and licensed payment service providers beyond just banks. This honestly could be a game changer for financial inclusion and leveling the playing field. Let me explain why this is crucial. This is important because today, most fintechs have to connect to a banking platform through banking APIs, which, to say the least, are archaic. Documentation is like reading Abunuasi in crypto language, trying to integrate text yonks instead of it being a plug and play conversation. I had to say this, but a telco probably has the best API platform this part of the world. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. I know you may not like this, but the fact of the matter is there's probably no other company in this region that has facilitated the growth of fintech, for better or for worse, than M-Pesa. That's Safaricom. That's something to think about. So banks are arguing that upgrading Pesalink would be faster and more cost-effective. They are proposing a transition to a national switch with ownership, governance, and tech changes. These are the key questions on my mind. How will this impact Kenya's vibrant mobile money ecosystem? Could an upgraded Pesalink truly compete with a fresh FPS built from ground up? What lessons can we draw from Nigeria's interbank settlement system in this scenario? As we continue to lead in mobile money innovation, these decisions will shape not just digital payments in Kenya, but across the continent and probably the world. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. This fintech face-off. Should we build a new system, or should we just upgrade the existing one? Let's discuss, guys. My last story of the day today is the AI gold rush. Did you know the AI gold rush? Did you know that 1 in 4 new startups today is an AI company? With first-time VC financing in AI, ML, that's machine learning. AI, of course, is artificial intelligence, reaching a staggering 22% share in 2024. Question: do we not learn from history that we never learn from history? If you are a history buff like myself, then you may remember and try to think that you can compare this to the 1637 tulip mania in Holland, when bulb prices soared to 6x annual salaries. However, in my humble opinion, today's AI boom has a crucial difference: real technological infrastructure and proven revenue models. Other people will say, but the dot-com bust of the early 2000s, you guys don't remember this. This is just another fad. However, many of these startups during the dot-com boom lacked viable business models. Today's AI leaders, such as OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, Perplexity, my go-to platform, they have clear and succinct monetization paths, and a lot of them has substantial profits. Here's a key difference. What makes this potentially more impactful? The dot-com crash mainly affected VCs and early investors, while today's AI giants are deeply embedded in the ecosystem, in pension funds, and its retirement portfolios. Here's my take, my last word on this. While many AI startups will likely fail, for sure, you can take that to the bank. The fundamental revolution in productivity and capabilities makes this more than just speculative mania. However, of course, we must have caution. And this is warranted because not every AI company would be a winner. Let me give you one use case that, for me, takes it home. My executive producer, Imran, used to take 2 to 3 days to cut up these podcasts and these recordings that we do. 2 to 3 days to cut them up into snack bites for Gen Zs. Don't kill me, Gen Zs. It's a fact that we have. It seems like all of us have ADHD today, very short memory spans. But that's, we are living in a world where many things require our attention or sort of push for our attention. So from 2 to 3 days cutting up these videos, today spends probably an hour or less. And here's the clincher: better quality, better production of these short videos coming out of these longer videos. So, guys, there you have it. This week, I am super looking forward to 2025. Happy New Year to all of you. And let's continue having these conversations. Asanteni sana.